Hey guys, what's up? We have seen the world of ads go through a lot of changes over time. At the beginning, we saw one ad kind of being broadcasted to a lot of other people. Then we saw one ad being shown to groups of different people, which means one ad per group. We thought maybe one ad shouldn't be left out in the broad for everybody because not everybody would get appealed to it. So we decided to make groups of the target audiences, and then we started showing one ad to each of these groups. That means we started showing one ad to one group, and we did that across all groups. So that is one-to-many ads across different groups. Then we thought maybe even after grouping, maybe people are different, right? Maybe each group, each audience in the group may think different or may want different. Then what we did was we kind of assumed what would work. We kind of had our targeting rules in place, and then we created multiple ads to multiple people in these groups. And it started getting clumsy because we don't know who saw what they were interested in, whether this audience is working, not working. This resulted in a whole lot of chaos. Today, as we stand, we see three things happening. One, customers' expectations are on the constant rise, rightfully so, because they deserve that. And increasing competition has made companies fight for customers' attention like never before. Advancement of technologies and emergence of technologies like AI has made things possible which were never possible before. Then you saw overwhelming data because of all these things, where you can use this data, but it is so much of data, and how do you use this data, what to do with the data? All these things led to an enormous pressure on marketers and businesses. So how do you deal with this problem? At the overlap of technology, which is AI and analytics, etc., and customer expectations and the data that you have, how do you draw a fine line and balance the expectations of the customers by providing personalized messages or content to each individual? So in a way, you want to make it seem like every ad that you run has to be for that one person, and he has to get connected with it, and he has to feel that it is personal enough, and you have to do this at scale. So you need to do one-on-one marketing at scale across all your categories. Now, how do you do this is what we will be talking about. Jeff Bezos once said something on the lines of, customer service at Amazon is like inviting a group of guests to a party and making sure you treat each guest with utmost attention and paying attention to them. Because that's what a good host does anyway, right? So how do you do this at scale? That's a bigger challenge. How do you personalize your message for everybody and scale it to 1 million people? That's a big challenge. And the undoubted solution as of today for that is something called as hyper-personalization. Hyper-personalization is sending or showing relevant ads or relevant information to each person based upon things which matter to him. For example, his browsing history, his patterns, his interests, his challenges. So making sure you address all these points for each individual across different segments is what is hyper-personalization. Now, how do you achieve that is a big question. So I have put together a kind of workflow that if you start looking at it like a blueprint, that if you look at it, you will understand what really goes into a hyper-personalized campaign. So let's jump right into it without any delay. All right. So what you see in front of your screen is how you build a hyper-personalized campaign. First of all, you start with showing relevant content to people who find it extremely relevant. I'm not talking about an ad or a piece of content that is relevant to a group. I'm talking about to individual person in the group. So you need to come up with ads like that. Now, with the technology that we have today, it is possible to get information based upon his browsing history, based upon his or her browsing history, based upon the customer's preferences, based upon the customer's browsing history, behavioral patterns, etc. and etc. Then you need to find a way to make unique landing pages that appeal to them as far as whatever their recommendations are concerned. So I would like to stop you here. And one example that I have read somewhere is that from Macy's. If you happen to be constantly checking, let's say, women's gowns and women's shoes, women's heels, the next time you log into next time you visit Macy's.com, you will automatically be redirected to all the things pertaining to women. So that is an interesting move because that is based upon not just assumption, but some data, some behavioral patterns for that particular user. So that is what I mean that has to be done here. And then you have personalized recommendations. Now, I would want to stop you here for a second and help you understand what I mean by personalized recommendations. Amazon, let's say you and I are in the US and we shop on Amazon, obviously, right? Now, when we shop on Amazon.com, the kind of products that Amazon sells is same for you and I, because Amazon still has the same products to be sold. But on the homepage, do you and I see the same recommendations? No. Why is that so? When Amazon is selling the same products, why is it that you and I are seeing different products on the page? Why is that you and I see different recommendations on the page? Why can't Amazon show the same thing to us? Because we're different people. We have different preferences. We bought different products. We like different things. We browse differently, right? We search for things differently on Amazon. So based upon all of these things, personalized recommendations are given either by sites like either Amazon or Netflix. Same is the case with Netflix. You and I will never see the same show recommendations because our watching patterns may be different. You and I like different things. I like mystery. Maybe you like sci-fi. So based upon these things, you will show content related personalized to each individual. And how is that possible? With technologies like AI, when it's coupled with behavioral patterns. Then you have dynamic pricing based upon a lot of things. The pricing can change and it has to change, and different price has to be shown for relevant individuals. Then you have offline and online sync. Now I go to Walmart.com and I look for a product. Then I visit the store personally. Now there has to be some sort of connection because it's the same user browsing the site and the same user walking into the store. So how do you collate this information is something that you need to look at. Then you have conversational support along the way. Hyper-personalization can be applied across the customer journey, right? It is not that hyper-personalization is only applicable at the awareness stage or at the checkout stage. It is applicable across the journey. When I say conversational support, if you are able to provide something like a chat bot wherever people are stuck, they can simply help themselves by looking at that support, you will understand their behavior as well. That's a gold mine for you. So using chatbots and a Q&A type of things, or something where interaction is possible, which seems like as humanly as possible, can get you a lot of information that you can hope for, that you can use it later for. Then you have offers, any customized offers that you may have. You and I will not see the same offers. So personalized offers will actually make a big deal. And then you have data saved by the user. Based upon his previous visits, do you have any information stored that you can use to make things personal for him? Is something what that means. Then you have providing real-time notifications. Then you re-engage and rinse and repeat the whole thing. So this, in general, is how a hyper-personalized campaign will look in real time. We have moved away from just segmentation. Things have changed. People's expectations have increased. Segmentation is just a very nascent way of grouping people into different categories and slapping different ads across their face. Things are much more different now. You need to look at a lot more things than you did when you segmented and advertised. Now, why do you need all this? Apart from increasing sales and increasing ROI, there are a couple of benefits that you get while hyper-personalizing things. When you do this, you will have reduced costs. Acquisition costs will come down a lot because you are earning the loyalty of a customer, and that's what happens with Amazon, right? I no longer click Amazon ads to shop. I know I have already built a connection with Amazon, right? So that happens. And then you have detailed product targeting can happen. You can know more about the customer along the way. You can help the customer better, which will help you. The customer will go ahead and evangelize for you. So your acquisition costs definitely do come down. And you understand more about the customer. You will identify where things can be automated while staying as humanly possible. Customer experience definitely sees a spike. And these are all the good things that will happen as a result of hyper-personalization.